Sousa with the red writing on his black gear.
So, Tyler, well, how do you think this match is going to end up? We were talking about how we both think they're going to stand up, but who do you think has the advantage here when it comes to wrestling?
It's tough to say. I'd actually give the slight edge to Tim Spriggs, but it's pretty even here, and I think this is where we're going to see. This is where the battle lines are going to be drawn, and I think this is another one of those classic situations where the scoreboards are going to dictate a lot. I think if one of these guys can get an edge on the scoreboards, it's going to put the other one in position to have to be the aggressor, and you see the other one kind of throttled down a little bit.
Yeah, Tim, always aggressive there. Really, we're just studying each other now. Need to reach that necktie. Jackson just shakes him off. You can see Leo Vieira in Jackson's corner. Tim Spriggs has Lloyd Irvin in his corner. And
see Sousa with the right leg forward. Spriggs with the left leg forward.
Almost a minute in. Not a lot of action so far, but I think any second now, one of these two gentlemen is going to be attempting a takedown. Let's see what happens. Jackson studying Tim Spriggs. It's just like it's like a mirror right now. These guys just stare at each other in the mirror and nothing is really happening. But it's out of respect too. You gotta understand they're trying to get a feel for each other's speed and timing and their posture, and there's actually more going on that meets the eye. And
they tie up here in the middle.
Yep.
They out of bounds.
This has been a slow start for Jackson Sousa and Tim Spriggs. Tim Spriggs with a green sweatband around his left ankle.
You still have 8 minutes to work.
About 2 minutes down so far in this men's heavyweight final. I believe it'll be a world NoGi title for the first time for one of these two gentlemen.
You'll do a better job over there. No.
Tim Spriggs, a training partner of Muhammad Ali, who unfortunately, Robert, you and I were watching him yesterday, and we both commented on it. Kind of looked like he was almost a little too relaxed, and there was maybe something weird going on. And he, in fact, he had an injury in that match. He hurt his ribs, and that's why we didn't see him in the fold in the ultra.
He was one of the big
division.
prospects for the open division. And he was quoted as one of the favorites to win that division. But unfortunately, he got injured. I'm sure he'll have a recovery, and we'll see him back on the mat soon. Maybe the Europeans, maybe Pans. But best recovery to Muhammad Ali, and hope to see him again soon. Okay, this is like 3 minutes in. Not a lot of action. I think the refs are going to call. Yeah, they've received a penalty each already. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a second penalty any second now.
Yeah, and you're seeing both of them get increasingly violent collar ties with each other here.
So this reminds me of something people always talk about, like, oh, the guy's stalling from 50-50. 50-50 is a stalling position. And like, yeah, you can stall from 50-50. But you know what else you can stall from? Close guard, mount, back, side control, north-south, half guard, standing. You can really stall in any position if you want to. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to use that position aggressively, or, yeah, there you go, another penalty. Or are you going to use it defensively? And you can really, like, there's some positions that are harder to stall from. I'll give you that. But I think that standing can be the ultimate stalling position. Like, this is what we see. This is not unusual. And right now what's happening is, like, they're really conserving their energy. They've had some tough matches already. And I think soon we're going to see some fireworks here. But it's something that, I go back and forth. I understand things from both perspectives, like as a spectator, but also as an athlete. I know it's not easy to push that pace that the fans would like to see the whole time. This is a very, very demanding sport.
Tim Spriggs representing Team Lloyd Irvin, Jackson Sousa, Team Check and Matt.
And
make sure you keep attacking, Tim.
Yeah, Jackson with his back to the yellow there. Like, these gentlemen need to circle to the center. There we go. Yeah, I think we're going to see another penalty soon. That would be very disappointing, very unfortunate if we had a DQ in the heavyweight final.
It really would, especially a double DQ. You know, if they get another one, they're both in they're in some dangerous territory, because a lot of times what you'll see is competitors rack up those 3 penalties, and with the kind of like agreement where we both want to fight this fight, but
Yes.
after 3 penalties, then they realize like, hey, we can't really do this anymore. But what you don't realize with that is, you know, penalties happen naturally in matches too. You know, different things
Yes.
happen. So now if you do something that is, you know, a penalty, you're going to be disqualified completely. So it's a bit of a risk. You put yourself in a tough spot.
So, yeah, exactly. That's you just hit the nail on the head. Now you see all this aggression from both these athletes, because they know, like, okay, we can't play this game anymore. We have 5 minutes to go. We actually have to fight now. We're both about to be DQ'd. So this is what everyone's been waiting for. It kind of reminds me of ADCC a little bit, where you have that first 5 minute where it's basically submission only, and nothing happens, and then the clock ticks and they start fighting, right? It kind of what just happened here. Like, these guys are like, oh, we're about to get disqualified, we got to do something, and all of a sudden the fight starts.
And really, it feels like that right now, like the fight just started, right, Robert?
No, it's exactly what it feels like. And I was expecting, like from the beginning, this sort of intensity. But I think both these gentlemen know how intense this fight's going to be, and they both understand there's a silent agreement amongst them. They go, we can't keep that pace for 10 minutes. Let's leave it to the final 5 minutes. And the timing was exactly there. By the time they got their 3rd penalty, they had just about 5 minutes to go. It should be exciting from now onwards.
Yeah, and I think both guys probably have the mentality of, I'm not going to be the one that gets called for passivity, right? And that really has to be the kind of the line that you take here.
Yeah, a lot of clubbing going on, and Jackson called the ref on it. The ref didn't say anything. They've both been clubbing each other a lot behind the back of the neck. They can't afford another a submission. I mean, a penalty, sorry.
Yeah, there's a hard headbutt there, too, on accident. They just collided heads.
Not a lot of love there.
Yeah, and if you are a referee in this situation, you see a match escalating like that, you do have to kind of be the arbiter there, and you have to make sure that it doesn't escalate beyond that.
The thing is, the ref's is in a tough spot now because he can't penalize anymore because of the DQ them.
Yes.
But he might have to. If this doesn't stop, he might actually have to do that. Like, at this point, they're slapping each other.
4 minutes, Jim. Heavy on the head.
And as they're getting fight now, I mean, I don't want to see one of these guys get DQ'd for clubbing too hard, you know. So
no, I don't want to see that, but that's why I want them to stop. What the ref could do is have a chat with them, like, listen. I think especially Tim Spriggs at this point is the one doing most of the slapping, and yeah, that's what we want to see, right? Just not the, because I think it's totally unnecessary. Me and AJ would have this conversation a second ago. Like, what is the point of doing that? Is there a technical purpose behind that, or are you just trying to upset your opponent? And if it's the second, then you know the ref's got to call you on it.
Tied up here. Disengage once again. Spriggs being, I would say, maybe the more aggressive of the two here on the feet here, especially after the calls. He's been the one that's taken a few shots here. Sousa hasn't mounted too many offensive maneuvers of his own.
Just under 3 minutes to go. Score is even. All penalties, 3 penalties on both sides. And yeah, just under 3 minutes left. These gentlemen have to do something. I don't know, man. I was expecting more from this match, to be honest.
You don't have to be following him all the time. You don't have to be following him all the time.
You can hear Muhammad Ali corner Tim Spriggs there. And yeah.
And 2 minutes, 20 seconds left to go. And yeah, and so now we've got one of the referees calling for a double DQ.
Yep.
Spriggs with a shot there.
Failed shot, 2 points, Jackson. It was kind of like almost like Tim missed his shot, and Jackson took advantage of that and
just
got
kind of
on
dove
top.
on him. Yeah.
It was almost like a free takedown. It wasn't really Jackson taking Tim down. It was more Tim losing his balance and Jackson getting on top.
Our scoreboard's actually incorrect. It's 4-2 for Sousa, not Spriggs. And you know what? This is a situation where, you know, it might actually work in Spriggs' favor here, because if he's aggressive and Sousa is content to run away here, Sousa could be disqualified because of the 3 penalties, right?
Yes,
and this is what we were talking about earlier. When you have these 3 penalties, you can't afford to get a penalty for anything else.
You have to be engaged. So both, I mean, Tim has to engage because he's losing. Jackson has to engage because he can't afford to receive another
To run
penalty.
away,
So, yes, I think we're not okay. I'm going to call it for the 4th time. Now we're going to see some fireworks here. I think I'm right now.
Yep, Spriggs
Yes,
now trying to
with
get onto the
takedown.
back here of Sousa.
Spriggs needs to get on top to score those 2. If he's on his back, there's nothing. If he can get on top, he can score 2. That's 2
2 points for Tim Spriggs.
Awesome.
And I love that the referees actually let them, there's nothing else going on in the mats here. They let them fight on the boundary there.
Yes.
Spriggs had secured that position, and it would have been a
Correct.
shame to take that from him.
Exactly. So the refs do tolerate a little more action on the edge of the mat, especially if it's not infringing with another match. There's some gray area there, and it's not easy to say this is where the match ends and this is where it starts. But the ref did the right thing there. Minute left. Score even.
It's about as dead even as you can get. I don't know who you give it to in something like this.
If this goes decision, it will be most likely a split decision. I really can't choose one, to be honest. Let's see last 45 seconds here if someone can win my opinion over in their favor.
40 seconds. Professor, por que os dois voltou em pé, professor? Posição estabilizada, pô.
Muhammad, who just made a good point there. Like, why would you stand them back up if they had established position? It's kind of a valid point, but it's difficult to reset. We talked about this extensively throughout this tournament. How do you reset a position that is established, but you can't really mimic exactly what was going on when the referee stopped it, right? So you never reset in the exact same spot. I think that criteria is, I could be wrong here, but there's certain positions where they can reset from, others they can't. It depends on where that established position is.
You see that both competitors just clashed heads there. Spriggs is really cranking up the aggression here at the end, and both guys just diving for the takedowns here. One of them tries to do something to cement themselves as the victor here, and Tim Spriggs trying everything he can at the end. If I had to pick, Robert, I would lean towards Tim Spriggs simply because he was he mounted more offense from the feet.
Yeah,
I'm
having a hard time here, man. That was a very close match. I wonder why these guys celebrate when it's like they always say, I don't think the referees fall for that. They're like, oh, you're celebrating, I'll give you the win. Like, I still, but maybe it does
that
work.
That guy clearly thinks he won. Yeah.
Tough one. I would not want to be a ref right now.
No. Well, let's see. And all the referees agree. Tim Spriggs is your 2018 heavyweight men's black belt world champion.
Yeah, it was a tough one. You chose right. I think maybe that they had something similar. He was a little more aggressive on his feet. But, yeah, I was expecting a little more action from this fight, to be honest. I think both could have turned it on a little bit earlier. But props to Tim Spriggs. Beautiful win. Lloyd Irvin Camp always doing well. They're always representing. Like they this year at the Worlds, the Gi Worlds, they did really well. They had 2 black belt world champions. And, yeah, we have another one here tonight.
Congrats to Tim Spriggs. First black belt world championship. Here's some of that action earlier. Some of the aggression. There's that kind of trip that we were talking about earlier where Spriggs shot in and Jackson kind of jumped on top of him. Here's Spriggs getting behind here. Them on the boundary perimeter, and then him coming to the top here. And this is the 2 points that he scored to even the match. And that really was a turning point, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And congrats, Tim Spriggs, new heavyweight world champion. Jackson Sousa, very close fight.